Can she hear us?
Can you
Cannot,
hear?
I wasn't very clearly audible, but I
Yeah.
can only tell you that at present we should not even think of IVF, because now, of course, the appending this big enemy, which is really trying to very slowly, even though, is increasing in our country. The women who are already on IVF treatment, those we have already finished. Unfortunately, all the embryos are being before it really had a very bad attack. Now, of course, we are not enrolling, and I don't think anybody should enroll the patient, because it does require the resources, the available doctors, the treatment. Our priority at present is control the disease, whatever is, although slowly, is spreading. And at present, the treatment of infertility, especially IVF, we have to withhold. But there has to be proper understanding between the doctor and the patient. So it is our prime duty explain the patient that why should they postpone the treatment. The reason is, first most important, whole country is under lockdown. Availability of the doctor, as well as they approaching the doctors and coming to the clinic on and off for the treatment, will be difficult. And also, we really do not know yet for authentic publication whether it will have any effect on the patient, on the receptivity of the uterus, on the embryo, or the future pregnancy. So this one has to make our patient consider. Although so far, whatever publications we have got, they all have come from China. Well, we all have to think how much we have to trust and how much we have to. There's a lot more work required to understand the pathology and its after effect before we should offer this. I would like to say one, कि very recently I on the net, which I already shared with Rajkumar, कि there is a publication that it might affect even the embryo, because they have found two receptors on the embryo after the egg and the sperm have met and fertilized the embryo. So if that is going to affect on that, understanding all that, more work is required to be done about it, and then only one should have it. The treatment should.
Wow.
Well, I really don't know whether your question which you put forward, it was partly audible, whether I was relevant to answer that. But I
You
am not encouraging my patient to start the new cases at present until we really not only control the spread of this COVID-19 disease, and also we should have more scientific information about the after effect for those, especially women who are already affected and they are recovered, and how do we go about.
how do we go about that? Yes. I mean, that's
The
um
next question came. There is a next question from the viewers was that they want to pursue IVF or other fertility medical treatment. Should they delay care during the COVID-19 pandemic if there is a risk that my cycle could be cancelled, or if proceed with the treatment now?
can
Are
she
you trying to say that the cycle which is ongoing, or they should start the new? I don't know whether.
Cycle which is ongoing. Cycle which is
Well,
so
ongoing.
if the
if the
cycle so
cycle is
if
in the
my
beginning,
cycle could be canceled, should I proceed with the treatment anyway?
well, if the woman is
You
in the
can say,
beginning
you
of
can,
the cycle, probably I will advise them to discontinue it because she hasn't lost much. But if we have almost reached to the end where the woman is closer to the egg collection, then definitely one has to inform her that coming and going, plus the egg collection, plus the fertilization, and this. And we really don't know whether she is in a asymptomatic case, which she is going to develop the active disease later, or whether she is in contact with somebody. So, embryo transfer will be difficult. And if we are going to transfer, we have to make the arrangement to transfer those, freeze those embryos, and in a separate environment, keeping them separate from the embryos till we understand the pathophysiology of these embryos at the time of the embryo transfer. We cannot mix it. So we have to have the proper arrangement to freeze, which might take longer time. But the patient should all know all the after effects of this. And with the proper consent, with the proper information, one can do. However, one should weigh the advantages and disadvantages. Disadvantages, while we are taking the treatment, we are occupying the operation theater, we are using the culture room, we are calling our nurses for that, we are calling our embryologists, and beg uh, paraphernalia for this. In other words, we are also exposing them for this repeated visit to the clinic to action. So this one has to weigh its advantages as well as disadvantages. But at that stage, if it is unavoidable, probably we will do that with the proper precautions. And embryos have to be separately frozen away from the earlier frozen reservoir embryos so that they would never come in contact, not even in the same room. But best will be to postpone the cycle.
Well, yes. How safe are hospitals?
And there is a question, one, whether we should freeze the egg or whether we freeze the embryo. However, the eggs are not affected, which has been shown by some of the publications, which are not very large. So, whether we should freeze the eggs or after fertilization, it is another one query. So, upon that, I would certainly try to freeze the egg rather than embryo after fertilization and fertilize them later when the proper environment is there.
Is there and I know Nick's got a question, but I wanted to know, is there a time limit for those eggs in the freezers that I need to be concerned about as a woman? Um, when, because we don't know how long COVID-19 is going to last, and if you're freezing these, what is the time limit for that?
I'm sorry, I have to ask you to repeat the question because
Okay.
your voice is vibrating.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's see, maybe if I go singular. So I'm curious because you're talking about that we can freeze everything, but we're talking about COVID-19. We don't know how long this is going to be in effect. Is there a time limitation to freezing the eggs and everything? Is there a time limitation?
How
How
do
long
you,
can we freeze? Let's see.
well, it will be probably, maybe, I'm not sure how long in the period time, but until we know that whole environment is clear of this uh, deadly environment and everything is clear and it is safe for everybody, and we have adequate information, scientific information, published data all over the world, till then I would say we should postpone the thing.
And
And if
I
it is
think you're
essential,
absolutely right. Nick has a question Can we get Nick back on? Nick has a question. I think it's a pretty easy to understand question. Hi, Nick.
Yeah, how safe are the hospitals right now because of COVID-19?
Mm-hmm. I can't hear you.
How safe are the hospitals?
How safe?
Mm-hmm.
Are the hospitals?
At present, I would say, because we are about without any information, at present I would say it is not safe. But once we have studied adequately, and especially what we were, of course, trying to study the endometrium, and if the anything to say whether it affects, although it has been proved that after the delivery of the woman who is already suffering from the disease, she is suffering, and in case it has not been transmitted to the baby, not even in the cord, not even in the amniotic fluid, and not even in a vaginal discharge, that is a different such issue. But after that, if we are transferring the woman who is still just recovering and no adequate antibodies are not being formed, probably it will be difficult to transfer, difficult to go ahead. So until we are 100% sure that we are not going to harm her or her fetus, we should not go ahead.
No, I agree with you. I found this picture. I'm going to share it with you. After when a woman has a baby, this is a little offbeat, I'm sure, but this picture has just impacted me greatly. Of that we're having to take extra measures for our babies now, and they're actually putting a shield over the baby after they're born. Um, is this happening in India as well? Because we've gone through a lot of in vitro. I've worked very hard to have this baby, but now we're having to take these extra measures. Are they doing this in India?
Well,
It's a beautiful. I think the face mask, what they did is beautiful, but we're having to take new measures with COVID-19. I was just wondering if the hospitals in India were doing this. Stop. So, can we try water delivery?
although, see, and
Is water delivery safer?
over here, isolation of the baby after the delivery is very essential.
Right.
Although there are very few babies which are being affected, as such, little infection, upper respiratory tract infection may be common if the delivery is not in the proper environment and the care. But whether it's to taking in care, thinking that it can affect the baby, all the precautions should be taken. Most important, that isolation of the baby, proper care of the baby, and while the patient is breastfeeding the baby, the proper precautions of the mother, and mother should take a proper precautions like wearing the mask. If there is a proper shield, she can take it, and she should not, and if absolutely necessary, then you breastfeed, or you can give the express blood milk to the baby for initial phases till if she has come and healthy and trying to feed. Anyway, breastfeeding is not contraindicated, but proper precautions have to be taken. In India also, we have lost two babies so far, what I know, and therefore every patient should be considered as a positive patient. and take such a precautions during the delivery as well as during handling the baby and breastfeeding the baby. All the instructions to the mother have to be given. And once the baby and all is proved that everything is okay, then of course the baby should be dealt the way the normal babies can be done. So in
Wow.
every patient who delivers, we should always consider as if she is a positive patient. And all the precautions have to be taken, have to be taken, have to be taken.
So 2 babies have been lost because of COVID-19. Two
Sorry?
babies. You said 2 babies have been lost because of COVID-19.
Yeah, we had, but it was not very definite whether it was COVID positive or it was a common pneumonia. But it has shown that 2 babies have all in the country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Because they tell us that it's more for older people. You would not think of a child.
Yeah. Maybe the information we'll get soon.
We need to learn more.
And
We need to learn more because we don't know. It's better to be safe than sorry,
Yeah.
like you're saying. Be safe, right? If you
Okay.
haven't done it yet,
Yep.
don't wait until. But it's better to be safe than take a risk at this point because we don't know enough.
Oh.
We don't know. So, what are some of the steps that women can do to avoid pregnancy during this COVID-19 pandemic? What are some of the things we can do to prevent pregnancy?
It's not audible properly.
Right. Okay, but to prevent pregnancy, what are some
I
of
wish
the
audio visual was like.
Okay, hold on. Let me chat with you for a second. To prevent pregnancy during COVID-19. Social distancing should prevent pregnancy, right? We think that social, can she see the chat, and Kit?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I think ma'am is operating from mobile phone, so I'm not sure whether she'll be able to watch the chat. But ma'am, can you hear us now?
We could
Okay.
also,
Would you just repeat your question again?
to prevent pregnancy during COVID-19, what do you recommend?
I think there is some technical problem, and then I think the
Yeah.
man.
Also next time what we could do is if she has a phone and a computer, or the guest has a phone and a computer, we can Skype. We can
Yeah.
do a voice by phone. There's ways around these technical issues. We could do voice by phone, which would be clear, and we could still talk and hear
But
each other.
I think the problem is that right now, because of lockdown, we can't go to anyone's place and then do and plan those fixation things.
Right.
We try to troubleshoot it from our home.
Everybody is sitting at a different location. In the morning,
Yeah.
we tried to connect the thing, and everything was working perfectly okay.
Right.
Somehow
Yeah.
you can say the net connection, or you can say some other problem is there. That's why it has not come. Again, she has come. I'll just ask the question.
Okay, thank you.
You can hear us, Doctor? Can you hear it, Doctor?
So, Kimberly, in India, when we respect to our doctors and we say Dr. Sahab and Dr. Sir and all those things. So that's what Rajkumar Jainji is, conveying that because we respect so much to all our doctors, that's why we use Sahab after that.
They use a what?
Sahab. It's like
Sahab.
sir.
Okay, Dr. Sahab. Okay,
Dr. Sahab. Yeah.
Sahab.
Next,
Okay,
if I explain, it is an honor for us that Dr. Hinduja is there on live,
Yeah.
because she is very, very choosy to appear on the TV shows. And this is only my request. And then Ankit has told it that we want somebody from the gynec side who can explain all the things about the COVID-19.